Meghan Markle and Prince Harry's career as TV producers has fallen like a horse at the first hurdle, and now their $100 million deal is all but over. After the disastrous release of their big new Netflix series Polo, the chances of the streaming giant renewing the gruesome twosome's lucrative contract are virtually zero. Their naive dream of turning into titans of the television industry is dead in the water. No happy Hollywood ending for them. I watched Polo, their glitzy take on a niche horse sport for the privileged few, with an increasing sense of astonishment. It isn't just bad, it's awful. It isn't just boring, it's a toweringly tedious instant cure for chronic insomnia. After proudly glorifying themselves at the start of the rolling credits with the massive banner boast, "Executive produced by Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex," there's nowhere to hide. This mega turkey is down to their Montecito majesties, and everybody knows it. Quite why they ever thought anyone would give a damn about an elite bunch of sexist South Americans droning on about puckers and mallets remains something of a mystery. And quite why Harry decided that him not featuring in almost the entire series was a good idea is even more of a mystery. From the moment it hit the Netflix airwaves, the critics were united in their disdain. Urging its readers to skip all 5 feeble episodes, the influential Decider site declared, "Polo is a mostly boring look at a sport that very few people outside the elite circles will have any particular interest in." Exactly. In Britain, The Guardian dismissed Harry and Meghan's production as so inept, it's unintentionally hilarious. The newspaper continued, "It's a show about polo made by Prince Harry, who likes polo, and polo is the stupidest, most obnoxious sport known to humanity. It's the playground of the rich." Again, exactly. The pampered prince has delivered 5 hours of self-indulgent pap that is doubtless fascinating to him and his wealthy jet-setting cronies. But to those of us who live in the real world, those of us who have to pay our own way, these risible reality docs offer nothing whatsoever of interest. Harry's bosom buddy Nacho Figueres lives and breathes polo. Who cares? More to the point, who the hell is he? Harry's deluded decision to exclude himself, apart from 1 or 2 nanosecond appearances, deprives this Dullsville dud of its only possible attraction. Meghan crops up towards the end, wafting around in a ludicrously over-elaborate white gown, while her friend Serena Williams looks as if she'd rather be anywhere else. A bit like me as I sat in front of my TV struggling to maintain consciousness. With its weird, anonymous cast of dreary unknowns, this shambles of a show confirms Netflix's worst nightmare, that Harry and Meghan have no idea what they're doing. The dismal duo vowed to produce, and I quote, "content that informs but also gives hope." Never mind hope, Polo is hopeless. And it underlines that after their first imaginatively titled documentary, Harry and Meghan dumped a bucket all over the racist royal family and the entire nation of evil slave-driving Brits, the virtue-signalling Sussexes had nothing left in their ideas box. That festering pile of on-screen spite was followed by the worthy but plodding Invictus Games, and later some nebulous nonsense about leadership. Successful television has to be popular. The clever ones who are good at television understand what people want to watch. Isolated behind the gilded gates of their Californian castle in the sun, looking down on us from their private planes, peering at us through the tinted windows of their luxury limousines, cosseted Harry and Meghan haven't a clue. If you don't believe me, take a look at their pathetic, puny, paltry programme Polo. That's not entertainment. It's dreadful, isn't it, Samara?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, it was torture sitting through the 5 hours that I had to. I did it for you guys, viewers.
We did it, so you don't have to bother.
No, quite. I really, it's 5 hours of my life that I won't get back. I'm really surprised that Meghan attached herself to a project like this, actually, because when I was watching it, the whole thing stands for absolutely the opposite of what she's been preaching to her loyal, devoted followers, if there are any left. I mean, the central theme around it is this father-son relationship where the father is constantly bullying his son. Now, I'm pretty sure a couple months ago, they led an entire initiative against bullying.
That's
so
true. That's a good point.
I'm a little bit concerned. There are lots of themes that are not going on. All the women in this show are sidelined. They're like little cheerleaders for the men. What happened to the female empowerment that Meghan wanted to preach about? I mean, there's this one horrific scene where there's this Louis de Vallier, he's a polo player, he's a real piece of work, that guy. He gets summoned to his wife's baby shower.
He's the one who leaves her in South America while she's pregnant to fly. Gotta play polo.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
He literally goes
No one has to play polo.
Yeah, he goes on camera and says, I couldn't give less of a damn about this baby shower. And the worst thing that happened in that show, the drama of all of it, was that the air conditioning broke.
Oh, high drama indeed. Well, wait a second. In this, as I said in my monologue, Meghan crops up very, very briefly towards the end of the entire series, wafting around in this ridiculous dress with gowns, bits hanging off it everywhere. She looks ridiculous. But Señorita Markle, she speaks on Spanish. Watch this.
Sí, pero me encanta el 25 de mayo.
Sí, mira qué bueno, claro. El interior habla. Do you speak Spanish, no?
Yes.
He knows that.
Sí. Pues sí.
Sí, un poquito.
Does Harry speak Spanish? He barely speaks English. Listen, Simon, thank you very much for doing the research. I know you haven't actually watched this.
Nope, haven't watched it. Nope.
But seriously, it is just very, very boring. I mean, I just chose a couple of the reviews, but all of the reviews just say, this is so dull.
Listen,
now, I'm not saying necessarily. I don't think they should have made a series about a niche sport, a sport that I also think is very cruel to horses, but that's another issue. But, you know, skillful television producers can make... Well, you know that. You're a TV producer. Not a skillful one, obviously. But skillful television producers can make anything interesting. They have not made polo interesting.
Yeah, I mean, look, you guys have watched it, and far be it for me to think that you would be biased in any way when it comes to... No, I'm joking. I'm sure that... I mean, the reviews are in. It's been panned. Nobody is going to say this is great. What is quite interesting, though, and I know that everyone's going to say, oh, typical Simon sticking up for them, is that Netflix... If Netflix were watching this stuff come in and you've got 5 episodes of what you say is quite dreary content, why the hell didn't someone at Netflix go, let's just roll it into one documentary? And why couldn't it just be one episode? And once again, I see that, and again, I have to jump in. I'm going to interrupt myself to say, I really do have a problem with people who haven't been in the industry, worked really hard, worked from their way up from researchers and everything else, suddenly getting executive producer quotes, credits. I think it's really, really unfair, because I doubt that either of those two were in the edit till 2 a.m. in the morning or dealing with the guests and everything else. So I'm not a big fan of people giving themselves those credits. So if they're going to get buffeted and they're going to get sort of slagged off for it, you put yourselves out there. As you said in the monologue, you've put your names in the front of it. You've got to take that. Yeah. But there should be something from Netflix there. Why didn't they just roll it into one?
I suppose they wanted to try and get their money's worth. But we know, Samara, that when it was first screened to Netflix executives, the screening room was full of groans, and then they called it the Nacho Show. Why isn't Harry in it? Yeah. That was a curious decision to extract himself from the equation. But the net result of this, it dropped the day we're filming a couple of days ago. It's already clear that it will almost certainly ram the nail into the ailing coffin of their Netflix $100 million deal. Netflix will not continue with this pair. As Simon quite rightly says, they've promoted themselves above their experience, above their ability. They have not got a clue how to relate to people. This dud should seal their fate, and they will never be successful television producers, certainly not for Netflix.
Yeah, that is sealed. That's over. That's done. And what's really stressing me out actually is that no, there's a lot.
They haven't made the announcement quite yet, but I share your confidence that will be the outcome.
There's a lot riding now on American Riviera Orchard to be their main source of income. To be their main source of income for next year.
Well, but it's not open.
Wait there, though. Wait there.
That's a lot of pots of jam to try and be sort of like, you know,
I mean,
giving to people.
No, here's the deal, Simon. This pair,
Yeah.
you know, they're just useless. They're useless at everything. God knows what the hell he's doing with his life right now. As everyone is saying, he is absolutely bored. He never really had his heart in the TV industry. He doesn't like showbiz. He's had it with all this. I don't know what he's doing now. And American Riviera Orchard, her lifestyle site, I said their TV producer careers is dead in the water. So is Riviera Orchard, dead in the water.
What they need to do, and what I think they'd be very good at doing, is bringing an audience to themselves as a brand, but then allowing other people to make that stuff for them. Because I understand that the Invictus Games documentary series, or the documentary is pretty good. And I also think...
It's all right.
And I also think, actually,
it's just a bit
the way that
worthy.
people spoke about their very, very controversial first series they did for Netflix, there were a lot of people, that split audiences. Some people really liked it, some people didn't. The more they get
At least
involved...
it was juicy.
Yeah,
At least
yes.
it actually had
so therefore,
some
that
meat on
shows
it.
that there's somebody,
Yeah, but
there's an
the thing
experienced
about-
producer's hand over it, helping them
Well,
make
look,
it.
look,
The more
but-
they get involved and the more they set themselves up
It's
as
impossible
people,
to stop today,
Sorry,
isn't
as
it?
more as they
You've
set
got a new
themselves-
policy. Don't let Kevin interrupt.
Yes. Go on.
No. The thing is, they did bring in the producers of the Wrexham footballs, you know, because they thought we need a rescue job here. They've done their best, but you know, even though because Welcome to Wrexham's a great series.
Yes.
Netflix's other sports series. They've got a great one about golf as well.
Drive to Survive.
Drive to Survive. They've got great sports series, but their sports series tend to revolve around underdogs who come good. The kind of Rocky syndrome. These people in polo, I mean, they're just privileged to be honest.
But
with you. They're not underdogs. We got some questions though from YouTube.
Yeah, it's such a colossal fail because those are some of the best producers they could use in
I
Hollywood.
believe the phrase is epic fail.
Down with the kids, Kev.
Yeah,
Nonny
man, I got
said,
it.
can anyone please explain to me why these children have never had family portraits done with the
my
Queen?
word.
And if they did, were they ever released?
I can't explain that. It's because they don't exist.
I was, you know what?
Archie and Lilibet, just figments of Harry and Meghan's imagination, no doubt about it.
I was kind of wondering, I mean, there's all these iconic photos of Kate going and supporting William at the polo with the kids and sort of changing them in the back of the car and just that sort of quintessential English lifestyle. Why weren't the kids there for the Netflix
Because
documentary?
I told you they don't exist.
Yeah, but Meghan was
It's
really
obvious,
old,
isn't it, Simon?
Is this your new tax? They don't
Well, you know,
exist?
I'm just going with the flow. I'm going with the flow.
Feeding those avaricious conspiracy theories. Listen,
I think we should see them. I do believe they
Why
exist.
you
but we
can't
should
go
see
round? You can't go round. It's mental going round demanding to parents that you see their kids. You can't do that. If people want to bring up their kids with an air, with an air of privacy around them.
Yeah, but
it is
they're
it's
useless
not-
at everything, so
it's
they're
not-
obviously doing
it's
this wrong
not
as
for
well.
you to demand that
I
their
mean,
kids are on
It
show.
is for me to demand, and I demand we see Archie and Lilibet. Otherwise, I will start joining in with the conspiracy theory that they don't exist. More comments, Samara.
They produced that show. They could have controlled that entire environment. They could have just
They
had the
can't. They
kids.
don't know.
No, the kids going to watch Dad at the polo.
They
decide
don't know what
want
they're
them.
doing. Go on.
Kathy has said, well, maybe Harry should have a little conversation with his wife, Meghan Markle, and tell her to stop leaking stories then.
Yeah,
Is
she
that
is
off the back of the Posh and Becks thing we discussed last week?
By the way, I tell you what we should discuss. This is a weakest horribilis for them. Because Meghan is absolutely steaming and Harry's not happy about this documentary in Germany, mass circulation documentary shown on German TV, the equivalent of the BBC or NBC or something like that, mainstream German TV, called The Lost Prince, which is just slams them in every way, calls them a couple of elite people who don't understand anyone living this privileged life, preaching about saving the planet when they're always on jets, just literally tears them apart. And They are reeling, apparently, Simon.
I think it must be awful. I would hate to go through, once a week when I sort of just take a little glance at the comments underneath to see what some of the people have said, or I have to read them out. It's not always the nicest thing to hear that stuff about yourself, and I do feel sorry for them. I do feel sorry for them in that way.
You're an expert.
But you two would say, and there's another side to it, that kind of, as we said before, you put executive produced by the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. If you go out and put yourself out there and make yourself an arbiter of taste, or make yourself a sort of a beacon of justice and hope, and that's how you sell yourself, then you're setting yourself up for a fall.
What they did with that big boat, produced by Prince Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, when they put that up there, massive banner boast, if you like. You could say they made their bed, now they've got to lie.
Yeah, they've become the lightning rod, haven't they?
A more accurate analogy is that they dug their grave, now they've got to fall into it. You got another comment, Samara?
Yes. Songbird has said, Simon has his lips firmly planted on Harry and Meghan's backside. He will forever try to justify the dastardly duo's horrid behaviour. It's disgraceful.
Well, I don't think I've been disgraceful.
Anything to say?
I don't think I've been disgraceful today. I mean, I do think, as I've said, wrongly produced, bad idea. I mean, there's possibly a very, very interesting documentary to be made about polo. They're just not the people to make it. They're probably too close to it. And I also think that, the mark of sort of a good creative is knowing when to stay in your lane and when to bring in other people who are good at making that stuff. So I'm not kissing his ass. I'm saying he's fallen on it.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about polo is it was never going to work. If you're going to make a documentary about it, the documentary I'd like to see about polo is how unconscionably cruel it is to the poor little horses. Let's think about that. Do that one next, Harry. Tell your dad to stop playing that sport. He used to play it when he was a kid. Tell your brother William to stop playing it, and how about you stop playing it as well? And don't glorify it, because it is agony for those poor little ponies. Time for a bad ad.
Working hands. America, your working hands really have it rough.
Working hands, roughen up your skin. Vaseline Intensive Care lets the healing begin.
Vaseline Intensive Care Lotion helps relieve the dryness, flaking, tightness, coarseness, makes rough hands smooth again, fast.
Yeah, Vaseline Intensive Care lets the healing begin.
Well, that's one use for Vaseline. What's this? I mean, fancy singing about Vaseline. Did they then say intensive care?
Yeah.
I think they did.
And it was the weirdest village of all. It was like the village people had run off and sort of bred and had a sailor and a...
What do you use Vaseline for, Simon?
To keep this wonderful complexion of mine soft and unctuous.
Yeah.
Who's paying you, Simon?
Yes, I like that. And you, Samara? I think we better go to a real ad, actually. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to part 2 of What Just Happened. Well, as you know, for the second bit of this show, we like to start with what we call the big moment of the week, the biggest news story or the most significant news story in the opinion of the three of us who are actually top-flight journalists. Top-flight journalists. Yeah, anyway, the big moment.
3, 2, 1.
That's what we call in the business a sting. So I've been going on at our producer Chuck for weeks. I said, look, we need a sting. We need a sting. So that's the sting, and that is brilliant. That's a stayer.
10 out of 10.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
That's a good producer right there.
Yeah. Which brings us, I guess, to the question, what is the big moment? Well, it's this. Yay! Donald Trump is Time's Person of the Year, Time magazine's. That was announced today, the day of filming, December the 12th. So, excellent. What an achievement. He won it in 2016 as well when he won the election then. Do you know the funniest thing about this, though, Simon, what made me laugh? The list of nominees dropped earlier in the week, a few days ago. The first nominee for Time magazine's Person of the Year, drum roll, Kamala Harris. She's a disaster of the year.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair,
Really.
I'm sure she didn't come close to winning and certainly didn't deserve to. But to even include her in the list is a bit ridiculous, isn't it? Yes.
Yes.
Samara, your view?
Anything else, Simon?
Listen, if
I'm very impressed by
listen,
time.
if you say a woman of colour gets to the point where she's running for the post of President of the United States, the leader of the free world, that is some achievement. Not to get it when everything was going for her is another achievement. But I can understand why they thought about including her. So yes.
I think when we look at Trump's trajectory this year, he started the year off in a courtroom and he's ending it in the White House. And I think it's just so impressive. Someone tried to kill him. People tried to kill him 3 different times, 3 different assassination attempts. It's the greatest political comeback in the history of the United States of America, maybe even the world. And
I'd say.
I think Time has finally got their sensible hat on. And I know that, very prolific and infamous figures have been chosen to be Person of the Year, Hitler and people like that among. So it's not about...
yes.
It's not
Simon might use that.
I know, but I'm saying... But that's why it's the counter-argument. But Time doesn't just choose,
Of course it doesn't. It's not about the best person.
Exactly.
It's the person that was the most significant. And I don't think there's any doubt that Donald Trump is, on that basis... It isn't necessarily. I mean, I admire Trump, but it isn't necessarily to admire him. It's just that this is the most significant person of this year.
Yeah, you would.
I think you'd have to agree.
Yeah, you would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to find somebody else with the drama and, as you said, starts in the courtroom, ends in the White House. I mean, that as a story is amazing. And what people will do is they'll look back at Trump. Well, after Trump does these 4 years, people look back on those first 4 years, a man who was impeached twice and a man with, it's true, he's got 34 convictions. He looked
won't when he pardons himself. You won't be able to say that soon.
He looked dead and buried.
He'll be almost as innocent as Hunter Biden, won't he?
He looked dead and buried, and what he has managed to achieve is remarkable. But what they will also do is they will contextualise that in and say, what does it say about America? What does it say about America and justice? What does it say about America and money? What does it say about America and disinformation, misinformation? What does it say about America, about the rich being able to
all right. Well, I'll tell you what
things?
It says about America. Americans were disgusted by the Democrats' lawfare. You keep going, 34 convicted felon. That was a trumped-up, ludicrous case aimed at undermining Trump's bid for the presidency by a corrupt party called the Democrats, by corrupt Joe Biden. And Americans saw that, they were disgusted by it, and they rallied behind Donald. Right, Samara?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think America loves an underdog. And I know Trump isn't the underdog everyone sees him as, but he started... No, but what I'm saying is the court convictions and things, that actually propelled him forward.
It did,
because they could see that the mainstream or, the general people and the Democrats were trying to suppress him, and all he did was fight.
Okay.
And I think, yes?
No, I was going to say, OK, if you feel that's your argument that these are trumped-up cases and everything else, now do the insurrection. How he manages to claw back from what he set in motion and how he undermined the whole tenet of American democracy by calling into question that election and then doing the insurrection. That is amazing that he's been able to come back from that.
That's why the comeback is so astonishing.
Yeah, because
I agree, that was a low point for Trump.
It's terrible.
Yeah, but the point is, the fact that he's come back from that and from the Democrats' awful lawfare conviction of him to become the president again, it makes him, he's a remarkable man. He is a remarkable man.
And I'm not arguing about that. I'm saying, when history puts it in the context of what he did and how it's happened and everything else, there will be a lot of questions asked about the American justice system, political nepotism, misinformation, and the buying of ultimately an election, I think.
There's no buying of an election. The Democrats were so corrupt in their bid to undermine him that America was disgusted.
They spent way more.
By the way, By the way, Kamala Harris, this is her story, right? Is it her trajectory? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wah, 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 wah.
You
She
two
will be consigned to the scrap heap of history.
revel in the
Yes,
in
we
the
do.
in the downfall
Yes, we do.
and the misfortune of others.
Yes,
Look
we
at
do.
yourselves.
What about you say, the election was bought? Kamala Harris had more money than any campaign in the history of US politics and still managed to lose.
When I say that, though, when I say that, Samara, there's a very famous saying in Russia, it's not who casts the vote, it's who counts the vote. And I would say it's not who raises the money, it's how you spend the money. And she may have had more money. Trump didn't. I mean, Trump had a load of money. He also had the world's richest.
Didn't have as much as her.
He also had the world's richest man behind him
didn't have as much as her, though.
with a whole social.
Yeah, but Simon,
with a whole social.
Stop talking
Let
all
me
the time.
finish.
It's like a bloody monologue.
Let me finish.
Look,
The whole
no,
social
I've got your
network behind
point.
them.
He did not have as much money as her, but you're exactly right. That it is about how you spend the money, and she spent it unwisely.
Yes.
She ruined her campaign. She was just useless, utterly useless. Now, do you remember this moment in an earlier edition of What Just Happened? It's all about you. Here's Simon.
Donald Trump should never have come over and had a state visit with the Queen 4
Why not?
years ago when he was president.
He was the president. Why not?
He shouldn't have had a state.
Why not?
What are the optics of a man who has been found guilty in a civil court
Well, he hadn't
trial
when he came on
of
the
a
state.
civil court trial now of rape, shaking the hand of our king or shaking the hand of our mayor?
So, featuring there my inability to roll my eyes effectively. No. So you said that he must not be allowed to shake the hand of the king, and by extension, I assume you mean all the senior royals. So how do you account for this? There is Trump and William getting on like a house on fire, shaking hands, I do believe. Then they had a personal meeting afterwards. You must be spinning in your grave.
I'm not dead yet, Kevin. I know you're wishing that on me.
Yeah. It will be when I'm finished with it.
Interesting thing about the clip, I just see how much you interrupt me. But no.
Anyway, Samara.
I think it's disgusting that. I think it's disgusting.
You can't even say it with a straight face.
No,
Simon.
I don't. I really don't think. Now, listen. You were asking me about the King of Qatar, and we were talking about. I've forgotten his name.
Look how happy Will's looks.
They call him. Who's the Crown Prince of Saudi?
Salman.
Okay, now he was as close as you can get to being implicated in the murder of Jamal of Khashoggi.
No, he did. Never mind, Chloe, he did it.
Okay, but that was
not personally, but he organised.
Yes, not personally. That was not the hand that wielded the chainsaw and knives that chopped him up.
Look,
let me finish.
No, I'm not going to let you finish. I know the point you're making. It doesn't stand up. This is the President of the United States of America. Here's to William for understanding the diplomatic niceties of that situation, and not only spending time with Trump, enjoying Trump's company, quite clearly.
Listen,
hang on a second, sexist pig. Allow the lady to talk.
This is actually way more serious than just a bit of a laugh. It's actually about repairing the United States relationship with Britain.
We're trying to maintain it while Keir Starmer ruins
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Keir Starmer and David Lammy, who are the two sort of Tweedledee and Tweedledums of the current government over in the United Kingdom, have basically done everything in their power to ruin this relationship. Luckily, Trump is a royalist and he absolutely loves the royal family, and he was thrilled to meet with William, and the things he said about him, he's so much more handsome in person. Yeah. He's amazing. Look at him. Oh my God. He loves him. And I think that this could be the beacon of hope for the United Kingdom to repair that relationship.
Well, it's certainly one strain by which we can maintain the relationship, because our government, our left-wing Labour government, is doing its level best to ruin it. I like the way in that Parisian room, a splendid room, that the wallpaper goes nicely with Donald's hair. Yes. Do you remember David? Keir Starmer, our crap Prime Minister, and David Lammy, the moronic Foreign Secretary, they had dinner with Trump at Trump Tower before the election because they spotted that maybe he might win. So their dinner, and Lammy, who has called him a sort of neo-Nazi, fascist that must never be, and all this kind of stuff. He said, "Oh no, that's all in the past because we got on very, very well. We got on so well that at dinner, Donald offered me second helpings, and I thought to myself, yeah, and looking at your waistline, Lammy, looks like you ate them as well."
Right, I just want to go back on something, okay? Two things. One is, politicians, it's different for them. It's called realpolitik, and they do have to shake the hands of people they don't like.
Well, there you go.
I think it's very, very unfair to put unelected officials like our royal family let me finish, in the firing line of people like Donald Trump.
William wanted to do that.
That is the point.
William clearly wanted to do that.
That is the point that I'm making, and I don't believe that from a 3-second clip of William in Notre Dame smiling as he shakes Trump's hand.
Others.
Wait a second, they spent an hour in a room together. They spent an hour.
They become
I've got
best
another
buddies.
thing. Stop talking, for God's sake. Pneumatic drill. There were two people when the result of the American election became evident. There were two people who were thrilled. Obviously, Donald Trump, and the other person was Joe Biden, because he'd been defenestrated ruthlessly by that idiot Harris and her idiot acolytes, and he wanted Donald to win to prove that they should have stuck with Joe. If you doubt whether or not the Bidens are now quite friendly with the Trumps, take a look at this. Donald and Gill got on. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! Look! Look! Oh, look! There's some kind of relation. Oh my God! This is getting a bit much.
Bloody hell.
Oh, look, there's Joe.
The internet is a bad place.
Look, Simon, the camera never lies.
You are a terrible person. You're his enabler.
I prefer one of them attacking each other.
Look, I don't mind. I can see the fun side of that, and I thought you were going to say there were two very happy people and then just show loads of footage of me looking upset the day after the election.
That will come later.
That's all fine and funny and everything else. But you'll never, ever get me into a position where I normalise Donald Trump and I dislike anybody and anybody who does. So that's just where I stand on that.
So you're not keen on me or Samara then?
No.
You got some more questions, Samara, I believe?
So Donald Trump has released a new aftershave for Christmas. Will you be buying it, Simon?
No.
Really?
What's it called?
It's got Ode to Trump, I think. Here's the advert.
My new Trump fragrances are here. I've named them Fight, Fight, Fight because they represent winning. We all want to be winning. We have to win as a nation. We want to win as a family. Get yourself a bottle and don't forget to grab one for your loved ones too. They'll thank you and they'll even smell good. Enjoy, have fun, keep on winning, and Merry Christmas.
I'm not sure if I approve of shameless merchandising like that.
Yeah, where are you two in your grifting hats?
As I drink from my What Just Happened mug.
Listen, you know something?
Featuring me on the front, getting a banana milkshake in my face. Delicious water in my delicious mug. But anyway, yes, you can. That is a real advert. You can get fight.
Here's a question for both of you.
Actually, it's a funny name for perfume.
Fight. I know, it's just great.
Yeah.
I mean,
but what's your perfume called? Punch in the face.
Do you think a self-proclaimed billionaire using his office to shift bottles of perfume, do you think he devalues the office of president doing that?
I actually do. I think it's a bit much.
I like it. I mean, look, Donald Trump is the world's most transactional man. Everything is a transaction. If he sees an opportunity, he cashes in on it. And all the world leaders know they can do deals with America when he's president as long as they've got something to give him. He's a transactional guy. And on that bombshell, let's have a bad ad.
Bird's eye potato waffles are wobbly versatile. They go with beans, bangers, bacon, burgers, fish fingers, eggs in, eggs on, yam on, steak chops. Grill 'em, bake 'em, fry 'em, eat 'em. Bird's eye potato waffles are wobbly versatile.
Did you like that, Samara?
I mean, yeah. Is that a British breakfast?
Yes. Yes, it is.
I'm not sure it's an American breakfast. Is it anybody's breakfast?
What is that?
I like nothing more after having my shower and putting on my Vaseline intensive care than having a potato waffle.
When I go
Come
on
round, I'll make you one.
When I go
Sure, Simon, I'll take you up on
When I
that.
go on my New Year diet, those breakfasts will be a key part of slimming down. Time for a real break. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to What Just Happened. Simon's still here, I'm afraid. Samara, you got some questions.
Yeah, I do. These are great ones from the audience. 1 in every 50 Albanians in Britain is in prison. Should we deport all foreign criminals?
No, I think we should put the other 49 in prison as well. I mean,
Simon?
Yeah, let's be serious about that.
My lips aren't even moving
for a second. There are 10,000 foreign criminals in our prisons. There's only about 85,000 people in prison generally in Britain altogether. 10,000 of them, and virtually 10%, are foreigners. Many of them, a high percentage of them are Albanians, because Albanians love to come here. I mean, people say, well, these Albanians are doing terrible, they come over and they break their law, but some people feel they provide a very good service, supplying everybody with illegal drugs. But they end up in jail, and the question is, should they be deported? Well, yes, and certainly since we have this ongoing, Simon, this ongoing overcrowded jail problem, we keep having to sort of release really dangerous criminals to make space. Let's get rid of the foreigners. Let's send them back to wherever they're from. So we've got 10,000 free cell spaces. How about that?
That's just such an awful clip. Let's get rid of the foreigners. Let's send them back. I think that. I do think that.
Send them home.
I do think that. Yeah, I think if you come over here and you break the law and you can, and there's a way to deport you, that people's citizenship should be looked at. I hesitate to say it as a kind of completely sweeping binary thing, but I do think it should be a weapon in the arsenal of our justice system, that if you come over here and that you can be sent back or you don't respect our laws, customs and values, then that should be a deterrent.
You know the joke, and Donald Trump will be interested in this. You know, we have people come over, migrants, sometimes legally, sometimes illegally. They get to stay, they break our laws, as you say. For me, if you betray the courtesy that we've showed you by letting you live here, by breaking our laws so seriously you have to go to jail, you should be out of here. But what happens is they go to jail sometimes for things like paedophilia. They're pedos. They do 2 years, they come out and they're still allowed to stay. It's ridiculous. Anyway, you got another question.
This week, an MP has defended marrying cousins in Parliament. Should this be made legal? Kevin?
Well, it's first cousins. And there's a guy called Iqbal Mohamed. He is the MP for Dewsbury in the Midlands here in England. And he stood up in Parliament. There's a bill going through Parliament, as you probably know, to ban first cousin marriages. It is a medical fact that first cousin marriages can produce horrible birth defects. 34%, 35% of all birth defects in this country come from first cousin marriages. You get cleft palates, you get childhood diabetes, schizophrenia, it's not just physical, all sorts of problems. Some kids can come out of these unions okay, but a lot of them don't. Now, it's been legal since Henry VIII because he wanted to marry his first cousin, and we haven't had a law against it because there didn't seem to be much of a point because very few people did it. But now we have more and more foreign communities building up in our country, particularly Muslims from sub-Saharan Africa and the Middle East, and they're very keen on first cousin marriages, so they're getting very common in this country. To wit, a bill was introduced this week into our Parliament, into the equivalent of Congress, to ban them, but the Labour government won't ban them. Is not backing this bill, which I find strange. Well, I know why it is. It's because Muslims like first cousin marriages, and Labour is desperate for the Muslim vote, right?
I disagree with that. Though my friend Steve Kennedy said to me, "Oh, do you see that cousin thing in the Parliament? I bet Kev will be on about that on what just happened."
He's right. Steve
and he's right. And he's right. And I think that with all that medical evidence, all the medical evidence that I've seen, it's something that shouldn't be entertained anyway. And I'm amazed that he stood up and said that. Look, you can go to a different country and you can keep hold of some of your cultural things, but that host country always has to the values and the traditions and the culture of that host country, if they're not taking away from yours, should be paramount. And that's how you get true integration. This is something for medical reasons and it's just something that we shouldn't be entertaining. And
do you know what this guy said? Do you know what
it.
this guy said? He stood up. There's too many. We've got quite a few MPs now in our British Parliament. We were basically representing foreign countries and foreign interests. We've got these people who are just in there to talk about Gaza. This guy stands up while everybody's kind of agreeing, well, first cousin marriages aren't very good. He stands up and says, yeah, well, you know, we shouldn't stigmatise them because they're very popular in sub-Saharan Africa, the Middle East and Asia. You think, oh, well, if they're popular in sub-Saharan Africa, we should have them then. If you love sub-Saharan Africa so much, Mr. Mohamed, why don't you go and live there?
Yeah, but
unbelievable.
No, honestly, I did a bit of digging on that guy. I mean, he was only elected in 2024, first of all, and it was on a full pro-Palestine Gaza ticket.
Yeah, he's an independent.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, it's actually really concerning now what's happening in our parliament.
So do you have first cousin marriages a lot in Australia, or?
We're just called marriage over there. It's just normal.
Brothers and sisters, everybody.
Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot to contend with. Yeah.
No holds barred. No holds barred. Everybody's walking the aisle.
Yeah.
I think you're allowed to debate.
What first attracted you to each other? Well, we grew up together. We're in the same family.
I think we're allowed to debate it without sort of going down that rhetoric of send them back and blah, blah, blah and all the rest of it.
No,
but
I'm talking about him.
But I think it's wrong.
I don't think MPs in our parliament should be talking about how wonderful other countries are. They do it there. Why don't we do it here? Well, go and be an MP in sub-Saharan Africa then, because culturally this is against the grain, goes against the grain for Brits, I think. Anyway, next up.
A petition demanding that Sadiq Khan should not be knighted has passed 160,000 signatures. Would you sign it?
Yeah, definitely.
Simon, you would
No,
sign
I wouldn't.
it?
Let's put it into context for our viewers around the world. Sadiq Khan, he is the world's worst mayor. Unfortunately for us who live in London, he's the London mayor, Labour, left-wing, Muslim, factional, only represents certain parts of this city. Most of hates people like us, you know, who might own a house or have a car or anything like that. Anyway, that other undeserved knight of the realm, Sir Keir Starmer, has nominated this little pygmy, this ball of mediocrity who's ruined this city, done his best to ruin it, for a knighthood. So it'll be Arise Sir Sadiq Khan. Can't think of anyone who deserves a knighthood less. Simon?
I'm finding all these kind of petitions, online petitions, are the worst
Never mind. Do you agree?
They are the worst.
Do you think he deserves a knighthood?
Yes, they're the worst sort of.
You do? No, I don't care about the petitions.
They're the worst sort of online virtue signalling. Yeah, I do think he deserves a knighthood. I think here's a man who.
Why?
Here's a man whose dad was a bus driver.
He doesn't like to talk about it, though.
He's managed to rise.
He doesn't like to talk about it, does he?
He's managed
kept that quiet. He says his dad's a bloody bus driver in every single sentence.
He's managed to rise through the ranks and become mayor of one of the greatest cities in the world.
Well, which he's doing his level best to ruin.
I think that he has made some difficult decisions. I think he's made some disastrous decisions. But on the main, he's made.
So he's made disastrous decisions.
I think on the main, he's made some very good decisions.
Oh, yeah.
And he respects and respects the rights of Londoners.
Samara.
It's just, he's like one of the most anti-establishment people to begin with. I don't even know why he wants a knighthood.
He says he is, but he's a socialist.
But that's what I mean.
Love knighthood.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
They love titles and knighthoods. They love preening themselves with baubles and gongs and trophies.
He's a walking oxymoron.
They're pathetic people. They really are.
So MI5 has been criticised for advertising an internship for non-white applicants only. Is that racist, Kevin?
It is racist. MI5, again, for our viewers around the world, is our spy service, espionage, 007 and all that, James Bond. And they have been advertising. They want spies, more spies from school and university, but they only want people of colour. Now, I kind of get it, because I know that our espionage, our secret services are pretty much exclusively white. And a lot of them are upper class. A lot of them went to Eton, public school, private school, and Oxford University and all that. So I do get that perhaps, a little bit more diversity, dreaded word, in MI5 might help. But this is not a good look, this advert, is it? If you're white, you can't apply.
If it said that...
Well,
then
it does.
If it said, if you're white, you can't apply.
Whites need not apply.
We need to sort of stop this mad rhetoric and look behind something. If it said that they were looking for, you were right. The problem that MI6, MI5 has had along the way is that it's all been very white, very upper class, very posh. If they weren't all the same people, the Philby and the who was the other one?
Oh, you mean the Anthony Blunt?
Yeah, all that lot. So a dissenting voice would have gone, wait a minute, all these people are traitors. They would have spotted that right away. Yeah. So I think it's racism is when you say that one race is better, or one ethnicity is better than another. Saying that you want diversity in something is not racist. For instance, if they were opening it to people who are neurodivergent, for instance, people who are kind of quite Asperger's-y and good at crosswords and stuff like that, those are the people who crack the code of Bletchley. So you can have something which opens it up to a diverse group without sort of screaming racism.
Yeah. It's Simon London, 003.5. You're now our top spy. Around the world, people go, he can't be a British spy. He's not white. Let's go to a bad ad.
Nothing tastes better than roast lamb with mint sauce. But if you feel like a change, British Lamb makes hundreds of other meals besides.
Hold the mint, hold the mint. You don't have to have mint sauce when you cook with British Lamb. Hold the mint, hold the mint. You don't have to have mint sauce when you cook with British Lamb. Hold the mint, you don't have to have mint sauce when you cook with British Lamb.
British Lamb makes more dishes than you've had hot dinners.
That's a British advert. We don't often do British adverts. But does it revolve around if you have lamb, you don't have to have mint sauce?
Yeah, it's basically saying try and diversify your taste a bit. So you'll hate it.
Classic British ad. You can't decipher what it actually means.
It's a diversity drive in British butchery. Excellent.
Samara's only happy if there's like somebody holding a lamb and then falling into the oven in which it's been cooked.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's an Australian ad.
Well, I hate mint sauce anyway, so I kind of approve of that advert. But anyway, it is now time for some real ads. What just happened?
He's mad as hell. It's Kevin O'Sullivan.
Welcome back to the final part of this week's edition of What Just Happened. Stand by for the Christmas special next week. We haven't planned a thing yet, but it's going to be maybe special. Now, this is the complaints department where, once again, I'm going to thank you for all the wonderful messages that you send us, all the criticisms of Simon. I'm not going to thank you for the criticisms of me, but there's a fair few of them as well. Samara usually gets off scot-free because she's good-looking and all that.
Oh, God.
We ugly blokes, we're in trouble. So let's run through a few of them, shall we?
Valerie has said, what would Kevin O'Sullivan do for material without Harry and Meghan?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I do owe Harry and Meghan a lot. So your Montecito Majesties, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, up yours. What have you got?
A little bit of respect wouldn't go wrong. So cool that Simon can laugh at himself, says
Simon.
Simon's mum. Linda Star Wars.
Linda Star Wars. Linda Star Wars.
Linda Star Wars. Thank you.
Okay. All right, Linda. Yeah, he does laugh at himself. I mean, everybody else does. He likes to go with the flow and join in the crowd. Samara.
Jano says, I don't enjoy the guy visitor. I don't want a loud person interrupting the debate. I just want information about how she's a bully. Please. Thank you.
I like that. Just 60 minutes of
just slag her off.
60 minutes of why Meghan's a bully. And what are you called?
Can do that. There's enough content.
The guy visitor.
The guy visitor.
Right, guy visitor. What have you got?
I have got this from Carmen Costia. He says, what do you call this? Journalism? just screaming at each other, interrupting each other. What a sad show.
Journalism! Journalism!
Renakio says, this show would be boring without Simon. And Yvonne Roberts says, I really enjoy your show. It always makes me laugh.
Thank
and
you,
a
Yvonne.
message to you, Kev, she says, keep it up.
Thank you very much. And, I'll sort of reluctantly accept that Simon does play his part. We need to have a, debate, a dynamic. So, yeah. All right, thank you. Next up.
Matt also agrees. He says, fair play to Simon. He can take a joke well. I kind of like him for a lefty. Yeah. And then Linda says they couldn't keep their hands off each other and now they aren't even in the same time zone. Yeah. Wow.
It must be Christmas or something. So for the second week in a row, we're kumbayaing again. We're kumbaya. He continued not knowing the lyrics. Anyway, we love each other very much on this show. Thank you very much to Simon London and to the great Samara Gill. And thank you very much to me, but more to the point, thank you very much to all of you for watching. We will be back next week for our completely unprepared Christmas special. Tune in for that. It's going to be quite something to watch. Thank you very much. See you next week. Ta-da.